So there is a police database. Well, I mean, that explains so much. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. We're here. We're at the finale of Dexter New Blood, Sins of the Father. The final episode of this new series to give Dexter a proper ending, and a proper ending it gives. One of my big issues with my last video was that I felt like Angela was getting things a little too quickly, or too easily, like she can just Google everything. But apparently there's a police database, so that clears up a lot of things that me being a novice, didn't know. But she's like a dog with a bone, and she is got her teeth sunk into Dexter, as Deb put so eloquently. So this episode starts off with Dexter sort of taking in all the good people of this community and how they are all good people, but he and Harrison need to move on, to do their dark passenger killing elsewhere, somewhere not here in LA and whatnot. And so they get in the car, and Dexter's just kind of telling Harrison, like, hey, we're going to move to LA. And Dexter's not picking up on Harrison's vibes. It's kind of just like, Harrison's like, oh, wait, my friends are here. Like, I'm just starting to get a community. Why do we have to go to LA? And he hits home. It's like, well, we need to, if we're going to do what we're doing, we're going to be this two-man tandem of getting rid of all the bad people, then we need to do it somewhere else where we can have a little bit more ability to hide and play in secrecy. And Harrison's like, cool, but we're doing this to save innocent people. As many times as Harrison has brought that up, innocent people, we're doing this for innocent people, how many innocent people's lives we're going to save, Dexter never really responds back to that. And that sort of is the catalyst for what happens in the back end of this. Like, Harrison, if we're going to do this, if this is the mode or idea that we're going down, I need to do it with the purpose of saving innocent lives. So they head out. But before they do, while all the rest of the police and fire folks are looking at the wreckage of his burned down home, Angela does find a little clue there. There's the screws that Kurt had given Dexter that are found in Dexter's home. And that just sets Angela off. It's at that point, but I believe that she tells Logan that, yo, he's not Jim Leland, he's Dexter. She gets home where Dex is preparing dinner with Andrea and Harrison, and she sends the two of them off to go grab some stuff from the store and arrest Dex. And it's in that quick moment that Dex is contemplating. He's looking at the knife block. He's contemplating whether or not to take her out or to kind of see where this plays out. How much does she know? And it's interesting that his fight or flight kicks in, but then Logan comes and he's kind of a little bit more unarmed and overpowered to do so. She takes him to the precinct and she has him dead to rights. She's putting him on camera and interviewing him. He's lying his butt off, and he's good at it, but he's lying his butt off. She is informing him at first just about Matt. Like, you killed Matt. I got the screws here. The screws were what I got in my email. The screws were, in my mailbox. This is the screws that were at your place. This is all coming together. Dex does put together a story that sort of can get him out of that. He's saying, Kurt isn't saying that Matt's alive. Maybe Kurt and Matt had a tiff. They've been going back and forth. He's trying to frame me. All things that seem plausible that Angela's kind of just like, oh shit. This part I may not be able to get you in, but I have more. And Logan's like, well, this all makes sense. I can see all this playing out. And she's like, yeah, but you just don't understand everything. You don't have all the information, which she's not giving to the rest of the precinct. Logan is now aware that he is Dexter. It doesn't seem like the rest of the officers there are, because they still keep calling him Jim, or don't even call him by name at all. They're kind of like more off. It seems like she's only letting Logan in on this. They break apart in a minute, and Angela kind of regroups. She calls Batista and asks Batista some questions about the Bay Harbor Butcher and how sure he was that Dope was the person that was the Bay Harbor Butcher. And Batista's like, nah, it could have been, but my ex-wife, LaGuardia, believed that Dexter Morgan was the Bay Harbor Butcher. But Dex died. And then she emails him a photo of her sitting next to Jim Dexter. And Batista's like, what the hell? And kind of starts freaking out. And she's like, well, then I'm on my way. I'm going to head down there with a case for his deceased wife. She at that point goes back like a rabid dog and comes back and brings Dexter back in for another round of questioning. He's like, okay, cool. You may get off on this Matt stuff because I just don't have enough evidence. There's so much tit for tat, whatever. But here's this ketamine stuff, and the will, and you have the marks on this body, and you have the marks here on the old Bay Harbor Butcher stuff, and you are the Bay Harbor Butcher, and I'm going to do everything humanly possible to get your ass back down to Florida and extradited by Batista, who's coming now to get you, and have you fried and murdered or however they do it down at the death penalty in Florida. Which is at that point where Dex is like, cool, here's what I need you to do. Turn that camera off. And what I've always sort of thought is that, like, if he got too far close to the wall, what he does sort of have in that back pocket is, yo, there's a shrine of women that you've been looking for forever that Kurt is responsible for. You might want to go check that out. And that's exactly what he gives her. Gives her a little more paint thrown at a wall, like, go that way so you can get off me for a little bit. The only thing is, there really is no end game out of this except for to run, because him knowing that still implies him to know more than he should, and that he is still responsible for taking out the bad people. Like, she would have gotten there eventually, so it literally is just a moment for him to kind of give her enough of a leeway to go that way so that he can go the other. And she runs out of there because she's all that work, all that wall that she has of all those missing girls, she can finally find an answer to. So she runs out of there to go find Kurt's spot. She doesn't really tell Logan what's going on. So Logan's still left in the dark and doesn't really know who Dexter truly is. He still thinks that Dexter is this great guy who is in a bad situation. The kid's been told to stay apart from each other, but kids are kids, and they don't listen. And so Dex does have a moment with Harrison in the jail cell where he's just like, hey, go to the inn, they'll take care of you, but just stay there, and then we'll get out of this, and we'll be able. People need us, the world needs us. And Harrison's like, cool, and he runs off. And then Angela tells Andrew, I can't tell you everything, I'll tell you everything tomorrow, but stay away from Jim and stay away from Harrison. She doesn't give much in that, but it's like that star-crossed lover thing. You tell two kids, like, hey, you guys can't be around each other. They start begging, so you know they beg. At Angela's place. She would be pissed. While Angela's off doing her thing to find out what Dexter is talking about, Dex calls Logan into the jail cell, and where he's barricaded, and asks for some water. He's like, I've been talking all day, can I get some water? To sort of get him in close enough, and then he attacks Logan. He bangs him against the bars a couple of times, causing him to bleed. He doesn't want to kill him, he just wants to subdue him. Logan attempts to go for his keys, which is what Dexter asks for, but he then goes for his gun to be the hero, to try to de-escalate, to handle the situation. He fires off a shot, but I believe it ricochets, and then comes back and hits Logan, thus killing him. Dexter grabs the keys and get out of there. He takes Logan's phone and makes a call to Harrison on Logan's phone to say, hey, meet me here, bring the car, bring the truck, bring everything you can, and we'll get out of here. We'll get out of town. Meanwhile, Angela's finding that shrine, and she freaks the hell out. I mean, she sees everybody that she's ever missed, and including her new friend Molly. They're all there on display. We've seen it. We knew this was going to freak her out. She comes running out of that place and tries to call Logan twice. Doesn't get an answer. She then calls Tim, I think is his name, the lower cop, the goofier one, and she says, like, get everybody out, get the FBI, get anybody you can to possibly get out here, and do so quickly before the media comes, because we have 30 bodies here. And then she asks about Logan. It's like, have you heard from Logan? And he's like, I haven't heard from him in about an hour. Last he was at the station with Dex. She freaks out. Well, Jim and her, in his case, he doesn't know him by Dex. She freaks out, runs, gets back there and sees that Logan is dead, and starts freaking out. So there's really only one way that this show could end, and I think it is handled beautifully, and it is heartbreaking, but poignant in the only way that you could sort of end this series. The final set of this is Dex and Harrison meet outside in the woods where he told them to meet, where they shot the white buck, where it all sort of started for this series. And Harrison has the truck ready, has all the things that Dex asked, but Dex shows up with blood kind of on his face. And Harrison's like, all right, let's go, we're ready to go. And then he starts putting two and two together. And he starts putting in that, he's like, he asks Dex whose blood is it on his face. And Dex knows at this point that he can't be, because Logan is one of the few people that actually meant something to Harrison and was truly good. He doesn't tell him immediately. He's like, I'll tell you about it later. Harrison's smart. He's like, hey, why did you call me from Logan's phone? And Dex tries to get out of that. And he then puts it together that you killed Logan. And Dex like, yeah, he's a casualty, he had to go. So at that point, that us as fans of the series have always sort of felt this, like Dex does have a code, and his code is like, I'm killing the bad people. But it comes that there's a bullshit asterisk by it, because there's so much collateral damage. People that sort of get in his way also get killed by that code. People who are sort of in the wake of his storm also get killed by that code. So that code doesn't really hold as much weight. That's why even when Kurt is sort of talking on the table, it's like, you got some bullshit code? What are you talking about? You're just as bad as me. And he tries to shut him up. There's a reason to all of that, because Dex doesn't want to hear that. He likes killing. He always has. And so the justification of it is easier for him to swallow, makes it easier for him to swallow. But if somebody's sort of looking at him in the mirror and giving him this back, it's like, that's a load of shit. You kill innocent people. Like, my mom wouldn't be dead, Aunt Deb wouldn't be dead, Dokes wouldn't be dead, LaGuardia wouldn't be dead. Like, all these people wouldn't have died had you not been here. Like, yeah, the system effed up and didn't kill these people and didn't take these serial killers off of the board. But you doing so then created this other chain of events that has caused so many innocent people to be killed. And Harrison sort of reads him the right act, and kind of the act that I think a lot of people who all do love this show have to sort of call Dexter out on some of his BS. And Dex is like, hey, we're going to do this together. And Harrison's like, no, I wanted to save innocent people. Like, I was willing to do this with you because I was going to save innocent people. You just like killing. And Dex is like, no, you are just like me. You're angry like me. He's like, no, I'm angry because of you. I'm not angry in the same way that you are. And when he says that I would not be fucked up if it weren't for you, it sort of brings everything back full circle. Dex always thought that Harrison would be better off without him. That is why he set him off on his own and kind of lived in this world by himself. But here's the thing. This all started before Harrison got there. So even if Harrison wasn't entwined in this, Dex still would have wound up killing again. He is who he is. He couldn't, after 10 years, couldn't still satiate that bloodlust. Harrison didn't need to be brought into this. And the second that Harrison brought into this, that's when he sort of, like that inner thought that Deb was always saying, she was right. He didn't need to be brought into this world. It is at that point that Dexter starts saying that, I'm sorry for everything that I've done to you. You deserve better, a better life, a better father. There is only one way out of this. And people were saying, oh, I hope Angela isn't the one that takes him down, or I hope Batista should get the comeuppance, but I think the only way to sort of end this and sort of make this all feel right is if Harrison is the one to take him out. And it's chilling. And it's what's even more chilling about it is that Dex sort of knows it. To end all of this, end this entire cycle, Harrison has to be the one to do so. And it's saddening that he sort of walks him through it. Tells him to take the safety off, tells him to deep breathe, he even shows him where to shoot. Because he knows he needs to release his kid. Like, he needs to let his kid be who he's going to be without the mess that Dexter is. And Dex even says you did good to him while holding on to the image of Deb in his hands. It's a poignant and heartfelt moment. We then get Angela showing up to the scene because she sort of probably had an idea where Dex was going to try to show up to. And she's that Harrison is there with a gun and Dex. He's ready to be arrested. He's like, he killed Logan. She's like, I know. She gives him money and tells him, run. Go far away. I don't want to see you. Just go away. Take this turn and you'll be able to get out of the city. It's at that point where Harrison asks her, like, can you tell Andrea goodbye? And she's like, no, I can't because I never saw you. And he gets it because she's going to cover all of this up and say that it was an officer-involved shooting. he takes off, and while he's leaving, you see tons of trucks coming in, FBI, SWAT, like anybody who can be anybody. That place is about to be a massive crime scene, and we lie there with Dexter dead. We then get an overlay of the letter that Harrison initially. I'm assuming this is the letter that Harrison initially read to get to this point, to get back here to see that Dexter's alive. It's that letter that sort of created this impetus. And now that letter, hearing it again, reading it again, feels very different. Knowing what he knows, knowing who his dad truly was, it hits differently than it did as a kid who was anxious to find out who his father was. It is now from a kid on the other side of it who has seen who his father was and knows why his father did what it is he did. That is a beautiful conclusion to this series, to both Dexter main series and this. This gives, look, having Dexter live as Lumberjack Dexter just didn't make any sense, considering all of the collateral, all the people that he has killed that actually were good. This series sort of puts a bow on that, like saying, yes, there is still moments where what Dexter does is correct. But what makes him better than Kurt, and that he also kills so many innocent lives. Like he's not that much better. And even when Kurt tries to call him out, he doesn't want to hear it. Harrison has to be the one to be like the hopeful one, the one that can actually reach into his heart, the one who he actually loves. He's never loved before. The one person that he actually loves is the only person that could be like, what you're doing is wrong. And he's the only one that could sort of stop him. Makes sense. So that answers, will there be a Dexter New Blood season 2? No, there won't. This is very final. I do wish that we saw Batista sort of in the back end, at least see Dexter dead. I mean, he's going to get there obviously and see that Dexter's dead and realize what's happened. But I wish he had some sort of scene with Dex or some type of moment with Dex to sort of get some type of closure. But I am glad that he's not the one that did it, because it just feels much more cathartic and much more Shakespearean, if you will, that Harrison is the one who killed his father to sort of relinquish himself of this sin, but also to sort of relinquish Dexter of that burden of keep coming up. I thought this was a pitch perfect series. If the last season didn't have him burning and running away with LaGuardia, I would get rid of like seasons 5 to the last one, kind of put them together and then tack this in. I think this is almost a pitch perfect series. This is a much better way to close out Dexter. I was thoroughly impressed with them sticking the landing. And while yes, it would have been fun to see a tag team duo of Dex and Harrison, it also would have been more old hat and just kind of doing the same thing. This is a perfect way to say this is our out. By also telling a message and giving a really well done story. What did you guys think about Dexter New Blood, the series as a whole, and specifically the finale? Did it live up to your expectations? Did you like did they stick the landing, or are you like, this is still messy? I didn't particularly like this. For me, I loved it. This is what I needed to kind of feel like Dexter that series can sort of ride off into the sunset. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.